Hello, today we are going to create a Windows 10 KVM qemu virtual machine. Then we're going to install KDE Craft, which is a build system for KDE Git repositories in order to develop for KDE on Windows. Okay, so I went to Google Windows 10 ISO download, and it took me to this website. So let's see how it goes. Let's go English, please. Before you begin, I have all of the prerequisites. Windows 10 November 2021 update, so not an update from 2022, but that's what we have. There's no other options. Windows 10 editions below are valid for both Windows 10 Home and Windows 10 Pro. Hopefully we have Windows 10 Pro, which is what I have always used, which is the Home edition. Lacks a few of the features that I normally use, such as local group policy. Okay, so hopefully we get an install of Windows 10 Pro. Select edition, multi-edition, confirm. Language, English, US, confirm. Okay. Windows 10 64-bit. I have already downloaded this file. Okay. English US. Okay, we're not going to check the SHA 256 sum. The next thing that we need is so we're going to try to not use Word for the network interface card, but then use Word for the hard disk. So for that we want Word.io Windows drivers, which seem to live in this GitHub repository. So this is probably the source code for Word.io Windows, the Windows kernel modules. Okay. And the readme file says that this is the source code repository. The binaries are also available in the form of ISO. If you want to use it in my virtual Windows machine, I should go to Word.io Win documentation from Fedora. Okay. July 24. Word.io Win package scripts. Static URLs are available for fetching latest. Okay, let's get latest Word.io Win. So 221, I had 217. Save. Okay, let's start creating the virtual machine. Where are you? Bird. Local installation media. Browse. Refresh. Windows 10, this thing. It automatically selected Windows 10. Forward. 10 gigabytes. $14. 200. Okay. Configure before install, yes. Default network. Okay. So I need another CD-ROM. How do I do CD-ROM? This thing. The newer one. SATA is okay. Finish. Boot options. SATA disk 1. Let's work with this. So SATA CD-ROM 1 is the Windows 10 ISO. SATA CD-ROM 2 is the VirtIO drivers. Network interface card will use E1000, so no VirtIO. Disk will be VirtIO, the hard disk. So let's go from the start. Win 10 correct, BIOS correct, newest chipset, CPU is always wrong. Okay, memory, boot options, VirtIO, ISO, VirtIO Windows, network interface card. The rest we keep the defaults. Okay, and begin installation. So it booted from the correct media, which is the Windows 10 installation ISO. English US, next, install now. We don't have a product key. Windows 10 Pro. Next. X64. Accept. Next. Install Windows. Load driver. Browse. This thing. Browse. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. Let's search. Windows 10 KVM VirtIO. Okay. That's what we did. We added the CD-ROM. Finish. Start. Load driver. Browse. AMD and Windows 10. That easy. Okay. Next. Red Hat Word.io SCSI controller. Okay. So we have a 200 gigabyte NVMe PCIe hard disk file, which is Word.io hard disk in Windows. Select it. Okay, it installs. Let's pause for a second. No. That's a problem. We need to force off the machine. We don't need this CD-ROM anymore. Remove hardware. We can empty this CD-ROM. And in boot options, we'll select just Word.io. Something like this. Okay. Memory, CPU, start. So this is the usual Windows 10 install. It's going to reboot 5 times and go through 3 different types of wizards. Two reboots later. Let's start with region. Yes. Yes. Skip. Let's connect you to a network. Network, no internet. Yeah, it's a good idea not to have internet at this moment. I don't want to connect to the internet. I'm not sure why the network interface card is not recognized. So it's not Word.io, it's Intel E1000, which should work by default. Important setup in progress. How would you like to set it up for personal use, organization? Email organizations, email network apps and services. Okay, that sounds like a Active Directory. I don't need that. Next. Let's add your account. Of course, an offline account. I don't want to sign in. Who's going to use the user administrator is already done, already exists on this machine, so I'm going to name the user admin. Password, a short one. Answer very randomly. Okay. Uncheck all of the checkboxes possible. Accept. Let's customize your experience. Connect with family members. Take notes. I did not see this screen before. Skip. Let Cortana. Don't let Cortana. So it's only using 4 cores. Almost there. Okay, so now we're logged in. The first things to do are to make sure we have internet connection. Remove the useless Chrome. So no show task view button, no show Cortana button, search hidden, no email, no web browser, no file manager, no store. Let's put a bar on the left. Okay, then computer name. Okay, should be Win10. Okay. Disable things. Okay, first of all, antivirus. So turn off enabled. And Windows Update. configure automatic updates. Automatic updates disabled. Okay. What next? Let's see if we have internet connection. Let's hide these things from the start menu, the many useless applications. Where is that? Show suggestions occasionally in start. You need to activate Windows before you can personalize your PC. Okie dokie. Then just outright delete them. We are going to come back after Windows, after the update that actually reinstalls Windows. Okay, what else? Okay, so it's pretty clean right now. Okay, next we need to enable RDP server. This PC properties. Rename this PC advanced, remote, allow remote connections. And my user admin is already allowed access. So this should be it. Let's restart this because we have changed the computer's name. Then we forgot to edit the Windows firewall. So this machine will not serve any HTTP server for the internet. So it will need to not have a firewall. ADV. This thing. Disable everything. Okay, and now we can try to connect to this machine. Okay, Control R. This thing. What's the IP address? 215. So X3RDP is an RDP client for that runs on Linux, the X11 version, so X3RDP, not WL RDP, FreeRDP, which is for Wayland. The user to use is admin. This is the IP address, size, width and height 1080p, forward sound from the virtual machine to the hardware machine. Use the video channel to, if we play YouTube videos in the virtual machine, to make them smoother, and the best possible speed, which is network LAN. Okay, let's connect. So it says you did not connect ever to this machine. Not a problem. Okay. The window is too big, so we need to make it smaller. We do that from the size. That's 1040 and that's so 1880 and 1040 resolution. When you connect via an RDP client, you can specify any resolution you want. Okay, so now this is the virtual machine. Let's do the next things in here. So we'll need to terraform this machine. For that, we're going to have we're going to need a web browser. Start without your data. Continue without this data. Can't I skip this thing? No. So Firefox is called Opera now. Okay, no need for that web browser anymore. What is this? The Meet Now icon. How do we remove the Meet Now icon? We can't configure anything. Okay, let's configure Firefox. No empty spaces, no bucket, no head. Toolbars, never show done. Settings. Tab. Always ask where are you? Not that thing. So blank page for new windows and new tabs. And always ask when downloading. Okay, this is it. Set as default browser. New private window. Okay. So we want to install KDE Craft. So that's KDE Windows Wiki Build Source Craft. Let's see what this gives. So it says Community KDE Craft, correct? And build from source Windows. Okay, correct. So we need Python 3. Download Python 3. Downloads. Windows. I don't know what I'm doing. So version 3.10.7 September 6. Windows installer 64-bit, yes. Save. Run it. I don't know. Does it say? So customize the installation. Maybe not the Python test suite. Next. Install for all users. Let's add Python. Precompile, download, debugging. Binaries, install. Okay, so I don't know that's running. We need to set up PowerShell. PowerShell is required to be at least version 5. And we check with this PowerShell command. Okay, so PowerShell. Copy and paste. So it's 5.1, which is greater than or equal to 5.0. Setting up the compiler. So we want Visual Studio. Only version 2019. Okay, let's download this thing. Still I want older versions, yes. Visual Studio 2019. Let's see what this does. No, I don't want to sign in. How do I do it? Don't want to sign anywhere. How do we choose Visual Studio 2019, not 2022? What is this textbot thing? Okay. So I've downloaded from a surprise place. From this place. So I knew the name of the file because I can see it in here. So in this document it says it's vscommunity.exe, and then I put a 2019 after it. So this is what I searched on Google for. Okay. And the solution was an offline download for this thing, which is textbot.com. And then I selected the free community edition. Okay, let's see if this works. So I've already downloaded it. Continue. I don't need this installer. Okay, disable path length limit. Yes, do that. Okay, was that some set of settings for developers? Okay. Visual Studio Installer. So it says Visual Studio Community 10 in 2019, which is the correct thing to do. And we need to select the components at minimum desktop development with C++. This thing. C++ ATL. And Windows SDK. So there's an SDK certainly selected by default. Windows 10 SDK. And C++ ATL is also selected by default. So this is the ARM toolchain. Everything seems okay. So by default, just select this checkbox with desktop development for C++, and everything seems to have been selected correctly. including ATL and the Windows SDK and the Visual C++ compiler for x86 and 86, so 32-bit and 64-bit. Okay. Enable development mode. Let me do that. We don't see the setting with Symlinks. How do I activate developer mode still? Opening an UWP project. What do you mean? For developers. Turn on developer mode? Yes. So developer mode is this group box. So a title, subtitle, and checkbox. Okay. So hopefully I've enabled developer mode. I don't need no DirectX SDK because that's for MinGW. I'm using Visual C++. So you can choose between MinGW compiler and toolchain and Visual C++ compiler and toolchain. So I've selected Visual Studio because that's the default for Qt Web Engine and for other things. Okay. So I need to be administrator and the PowerShell. First of all, let's start the installation. So consider adding exceptions for the entire craft root directory to your antivirus's exceptions. I have disabled the antivirus completely. And start the PowerShell environment as elevated as administrator. Allow execution of PowerShell scripts. Install Craft and follow the instructions. So for Microsoft Visual Studio Compiler, it's necessary to have VC Tools Redist dir environment. I will skip this for now. And then we can enable the Craft shell by running this PowerShell script. And then this is how the Craft shell looks like. In here we can do the next steps from the Craft wiki page. So installing a package, Craft package name, change to the source directory where the source tarball was unarchived. Change to the build directory where CMake and the compiler create intermediate files. It can create DMG bundles, Windows installer kits, etc. We're not going to do this. Craft compile install qemu sumlib. I don't know. Okay, so KDE Craft is the Git repository. So invent.kde.org/packaging/craft. And then there's another repository which is called Craft Blueprints KDE. So https://invent.kde.org/packaging/craft blueprints KDE. And in here, for instance, for an application such as which? Such as Kate. There's a PI file which describes the dependencies of the Kate Git repository. So it depends on kconfig, on the KDE frameworks, kconfig, KDE bus actions, KGUI add-ons, K internationalization, K item models, etc. It also depends on utils/markdown part. On non-Windows, we can have a console tool window. Okay, so says sign in, no. Do we need to select something? Yes, start. I've selected general instead of C++. Installations are up to date. Okay, so it started. Hopefully it works. Now let's follow the rest of the instructions. So a PowerShell, elevated, right click, run as administrator, yes. Dock it to the left. Set execution policy, remote signed. If you want to change A, and then Internet Explorer. Or what is IX? So craft install root, keep the defaults, enter. Select compiler, default is Microsoft Visual Studio 2019, okay. Do you want to enable support for colored logs? Default is yes, okay. Do you want to install a start menu entry? Default is yes. No, I don't want any start menu things. So 1 for now. So unfortunately my virtual machines with Windows have internet connectivity issues. Sometimes you need to retry after you try to download the thing, it fails, and then just retrying works. Duplex mismatch. Okay, what next? So this is craft all succeeded devutil / nortoast. And now the setup of KDE Craft is complete. And we can use it as we use it day by day. So we start a PowerShell, right click on it, run as administrator, yes. Dock left by pressing the Windows key and the left arrow key at the same time. Control V, enter. So now we will be inside of the craft shell. This is it. And we can start crafting. So let's craft. What can we craft that's faster than Kate? Nothing is faster than Kate. Okay, let's do Kate then. So craft and then the name of the package. And I guess the name is Kate. There is a search possibility, craft search and the package name. So it installs a ton of prerequisites per. It installs them from precompiled, so from binaries, so from a binary archive. Binaries that were compiled specifically on Windows using MSVC 2019 64-bit. Devutils MSys, libs expat, so it could not found dev-utils/msys, so it downloaded from GitHub a release tarball. Okay, then inside of MSys using the Pacman package manager, it's going to install a ton of things. Curl, core utils, dash, file, find utils, broadlib, psd-tar, and ghttpd2, expat, lz4, bzip2, zlib, sed bash, cstd, mpfr, file, libgcrypt, find utils, openssl. A ton of packages from the distribution named what's the name? MSys2. Auto tools make, auto make, auto conf. Okay, let's continue terraforming meanwhile. So we're going to need the things that we usually install on a Windows machine, which is WinMerge. What is this? So WinMerge 64-bit, yes. Okay, let's stop the snore toast because it's too much already. Next. Okay. Okay, so I kept all of the defaults in the WinMerge installer. Here we configure just the tab size. So it's insert spaces, not tabs. Okay. There 7-zip. (64-bit). Okay. Unorthodox file manager. Okay, so where's the downloads? Windows Portable 64-bit. Okay, so into C temp, create a new directory called temp. In there, a new directory called bin. Save this thing there. And then Notepad++. Portable 7-zip. Same place. Okay, we need Windows Explorer. C temp bin extract double commander, Control X, Control V. Okay, let's run it as administrator or not. Yes, as administrator. Okay, it's everything is way too big. Fonts. Main font, why is it bold? Okay, what's with... Okay, icons way smaller. Right click, run as administrator. Okay, now we can breathe again. How do we hide Chrome? Main menu, yes. Toolbar, no. The functions key. Terminal window, what is that? Okay, show command line. Status bar. What does the status bar do? Not much. Free space label. Show drive buttons. Let drives list button. What is that? Okay. It looks okayish. And we need to set the editor. Control T. Extract Notepad++. Shift F6 to rename NPP. Notepad++. Okay, what settings do we have? The session is the most important. We disable the session. So there's a setting to not remember the files I have opened the next time when I start Notepad++. Remember current session for next launch. Close like this, okay? And options for the Orthodox File Manager, editor, use external program, bin, npp, Notepad++, open, okay, F4, so it looks okay. Next. So it says error package KDE support QCA all failed. Let's run this thing again. Maybe it didn't download, so it was an intermittent error downloading something from the internet. So it failed because it could build and install correctly KDE support QCA. Fetch libs as1 failed. So that's the big problem on my Windows virtual machines, that network connectivity stops at random times and just for a millisecond enough to kill downloads. So you'll need to restart those downloads again and again and again. So this builds the KDE framework new stuff. I'm not sure why it builds it instead of downloading the pre-built binary build artifact tarball. libgit 2 syntax highlighting the KDE framework ktext editor. Okay, let's look at the location on hard disk of these things. So they're in Craft root, and the data that tells which module depends on which module and how to build a certain module is in etc blueprints locations craft blueprints KDE. And for instance, for Kate, that's KDE applications Kate and this Python file. So it's going to download all of these dependencies, and these dependencies might have their own dependencies, etc., etc. And then that's the package is how to cmake, configure, make install. Maybe the what patches to apply. Okay. And the build happens in okay. Where does the build happen in? So we always start the craft shell with this magic command. So c :\craft root /craft elf ps1. So it says we don't support running more craft shells at once, which is interesting. Okay, so in c :\craft root, and then there's the build directory, and there's underscore, if I remember correctly. Let's look at where the activity is. Performance, resource monitor, disk, storage, available time, active time. So 12% usage of of the speed of the hard disk. So this definitely means SSD. And finished. Build KDE applications Kate image. Okay. And how do we run this thing? So it's somehow in the path. Why is it in the path? PowerShell is and variable. Copy and paste. So C colon backslash craft dev utils backslash bean easy the first in the path, and C colon backslash craft root bean. Bean. Date descending Kate. So this is probably the make install directory. And C craft root is probably the prefix directory. So the include files will be taken from here, and the make install directory for other files is this thing, C colon backslash craft root. Okay, let's look at Kate. So it looks like Kate. It's a strange theme because when the menu is opened, this strange white color is used for the help settings or whatever menu item I have selected. This is not a Windows theme. This is a KDE or a Qt theme. I can see the tabs and the buttons. So this is about KDE. This is about Kate. These icons work. In macOS they didn't. They weren't visible when I built kcalc using KDE Craft. It has all of the plugins in here, I see. So GCC, no. Project, yes. LSP client, yes. The icons are huge, though. Okay, so everything seems to work correctly. So we have a ton of include files. The mini map works. Code syntax highlighting. Code folding. File open dialog. Let's see the file open dialog. It's the Windows dialog. Okay, so that was it. That was how to create a Windows 10 virtual machine. I'm on Ubuntu 22.04 hardware machine. I have installed Virt Manager, which uses qemu, which uses KVM. I've installed Windows 10 from the ISO provided by Microsoft. I have installed Visual Studio 2019 Community Edition. I have installed KDE Craft. I have built Kate, the advanced text editor from KDE, using KDE Craft. The Kate seems to work okay. And this is how to get started compiling KDE source code on Windows. Thank you.